Hello everybody and welcome to this Torcast number 2. With me today I have Leoni, and we are sitting here in Hogganvik Camphill village. And first I'd like to ask, who is Leoni?
Yes, hello everyone. I am Leoni. I'm 26 years old. I'm from Germany and I just finished my studies to become a teacher for children with special needs. Yes, and I will spend 2 months here in Hogganvik, and this is in this community, and yeah, this is how I got here.
Very good. So could you say that it's your education with children with special needs that made you notice Camphill, perhaps?
Yes, well, maybe I have to go a bit back in time. When I finished school in 2011, I didn't really know what to do, what to study or what to work. And so I was interested in doing a social year, kind of a gap year, and a friend of a friend, she was in a Camphill community in Ireland, and she told me about it.
Okay.
And so I got interested in the topic, and yes, I applied in Ireland and they took me, and so I spent 1 year there. Yeah, and after this year, which I enjoyed a lot, I was clear that I wanted to study to become a teacher for children with special needs. So yeah, this is how I got
Interesting.
in.
Yeah. So it's been a process for you, you could say.
It was a process, yeah.
Yeah.
At the
Cool.
beginning, like, I didn't plan to study that, like, I didn't took this into my consideration. Yeah, and after this year, which was quite eye-opening in many different ways, yeah, I knew that I wanted to work in this sort of field.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So during a late evening supper, we talked about books, and
Yeah.
we ended up talking a little bit about your favorite author or something, or your author that you like, the man called Herman Hesse. Now he has triggered my interest since you mentioned him. Could you tell us a little bit who was Herman Hesse?
Yeah. Like, I heard about Herman Hesse the first time in school, I think in the 8th grade, yeah. And Herman Hesse was a Swiss-German author, and he was born in 1877 and died in 1962. And yeah, he also got the Nobel Prize in Literature. And what got me so interested in him, and why I read a few books of him, is his main topics that he is talking about. Like, I can maybe name a few of his most famous works.
Sure. Yeah,
like
yeah.
Siddhartha, Steppenwolf is quite famous as well. Narziss and Goldmund, and the Glass Bead Game as well. Yeah.
Glass Bit Game.
Glass Bead Game, yeah.
Interesting. So what I noticed, and something that piqued my mind when I was looking at internet about Herman Hesse, is that here is, quote unquote, yet again a man telling us about the protagonist, and how, and like a male protagonist, like about how we have been needing to have a male main character, meaning, for instance, Jesus was a male, Muhammad was a male, Buddha is and was a male. And what triggered my mind was that, why do we have all these male characters that are like the main character? Why are there so few females? Do you have any ideas about why that is so?
I mean, of course, from a historical point of view, I would say that, of course, if you compare women and men, like, women are the inferior sex, like the weaker sex, I would say. And of course, like, in the past, if you're like physically more or stronger, then you could also like lead and guide a group of people. And I think this might maybe be why we have so many male or only male leaders in our Western world, and also like in the Eastern world.
So I think that I landed upon was that often we hear that people say that, well, Jesus was a man and therefore we must have male leaders, or that Muhammad is a man and therefore it is sort of justified that we have like military and male bankers and male this, male that leaders, and to like justify it with that, and by that I mean that they're not seeing the real story of Jesus, the real story of Buddha or Muhammad, because then they're just using however they desire to understand it in a most, what shall I say, justifiable way for them to serve their own ego. They say, well, Jesus was a man and therefore all men are superior, sort of. Kind of a rhetoric, and that is also playing out, I guess, or have been playing out for a long time. And still I would say that maybe today, where we see that, for instance, women are in the last 5 or 6 decades entering the workforce much more, and about that we also need more female leaders, I would say, to be like the protagonist in the story, sort of, and that is maybe something that is lacking today in 2018, I would say.
That's true. Like, I think it's very important that we understand, like every one of us, that women are not the weak sex. This is like what we got taught like over the years. But I think if we grow up in a society where women are just treated as equal as men, we could, like, this should be our base where we could work on, and we could also like find female leaders. And
also see the leader as an equal, perhaps. That is something that's like a tipping point of maybe communism, where we say that the leader, the Stalin, the Mao, would make themselves into a god figure, sort of. And that was, one of the big faults of those institutions, you could say. So basically, to have, and what we've seen from experience in work today, and that women are better organizers and the better to, what shall I say, lead and guide us, so that it will be definitely cool to see more stories and books and education on a leadership based on equality and equal understanding, a common ground, and also that so the man is perhaps stronger and more structured, perhaps, or have other principles, have somewhat other what shall I say, characters about him, but that the leader in equality might as well be a lady or a girl.
Yes, of course. And also character traits are not based on your sex or your gender. Like, you can be a very structured and clear and strong woman as well. But like in the world today, we mostly see men with those attitudes. And this is something like we grow up and we get, of course, socialized in a certain way, and we should rethink everything that we get taught. Yes,
I agree with you, and I can look at myself. Like, I'm a male. However, I do have both a left and a right part of me, from being origin from my mom and dad, obviously, female and male, and that I have not only a male side, I have also a female side of me. Meaning I have expression on my the left side is like the female side, the expression, the, what should I say, energy and spirit, the female side of the which is the left side of my body, while the right side is more the structure, the organizing, the outside world, the male principle. So the inside world and the outside world, left and right of my body. And that, I think it is a very cool realization to realize that I have both these qualities and to nourish them in me. To see that I can have both the female expression in arts,
the best from both of it. You can those two sides can interact, so you can be the best part of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely and to see that if there are points within me, either on my female or expression or male structure sides that I see as weak points, perhaps weaknesses of me.
Yeah.
That weaknesses is really just points that I haven't developed yet.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And that if I have a weakness of, like, for instance, I think that I to bake a cake, for instance, to bake a cake, that is a weakness I have, then that is in fact a strength that I just suppressed and denied, for I don't want to do that, I want to suppress that, it's that boring. And that if I think that I have a weakness, that is in truth a strength of me that I am not living or practicing.
Yeah.
And being either female or male part of me, yeah. Okay, so do you think that, like in the horizon, you can see that, what shall I say, we can see that there are perhaps more books and teaching coming on this level of, equal value or equal worth, at the same time as we can see that females are taking more the lead of things in the literature and school and organization?
Well, I most certainly hope so, that they shouldn't take maybe not the lead, but like the equal, the gender, like male and female, that we get treated equally. Yes, and that women or female characters should be leader roles in books or movies or politics or in jobs, like in any field that you could imagine. Like, women should be empowered and that they're not considered as the weak sex anymore. So we can live in an equal world.
And I guess there's lots of the, what shall I say, commercial programming that we can see that from various institutions and cultural polarities of commercial or porn or whatever, that there are very many strong forces today that like withholding this old archaic structure, you might say, which is obviously also at the same time busy collapsing, sort of. And that, that's interesting.
Yeah, the world is still holding on to like this image of the strong man who can like lead and guide us everywhere. But no, I think we should definitely reconsider this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Leoni. It's been very nice to have this chat. Is there anything you'd like to add for in the end, or are you satisfied?
I think I'm satisfied. Thank you, Tom, for having me, for inviting me to have this talk with you.
Okay. So, thank you, listener, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.